But he was bruised for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We, all like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. Isaiah 53. Jesus, God in the flesh, was demonstrating his love for humanity. What did Jesus endure in those last hours before he cried out, "It is finished"? First, he was taken to the high priest Caiaphas to be questioned by the Sanhedrin. He was accused of blasphemy. They spit on him and slapped him in the face. He was then sent to Pilate, who sent him to Herod and back to Pilate, being mocked, ridiculed, and physically assaulted each stop along the way. When Pilate finished questioning him, he attempted to appease the crowd by having Jesus flogged as they demanded the death of Jesus, shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Flogging was a brutal form of beating. They had a special whip called a flagrum. Some may call it a cat of nine tails. This special whip had loose straps at the end with metal tied into it. Roman soldiers were experts in this particular form of punishment. They knew exactly what they needed to do to make it as excruciating as possible. They would stretch the accused over a rock or stump, ensuring the back would be completely vulnerable. When they would begin the whipping, they would snap their wrist at just the right moment to make the metal and whip slash across the back and sides of the accused to inflict as much pain as they could. After each lash, the back of the accused would be torn as the metal would insert itself into the muscle and skin, tearing and ripping tissue from the body. When Pilate brought Jesus again before the crowd, they continued to shout, "Crucify him!" Finally, Pilate gave in to the demands of the crowd and sentenced Jesus to be crucified. The abuse that Jesus had taken to this point was just the beginning of what he would endure over the next several hours. They dressed him in a purple robe and put together a crown of thorns to be placed on his head. He was mocked and punched in the face just to ensure there would be no energy for resistance. Already exhausted from the abuse he had endured, it was now time for the next step in the process, the walk to Golgotha, the place of the skull. Normally, the one being crucified would carry part of his cross, but Jesus, being so physically weak from the beating he had already received, was given help. The Roman soldiers forced a man, Simon the Cyrene, to help Jesus along the path to the cross. Some call it the Via Dolorosa, or the way of suffering. Once they had arrived at Golgotha, the soldiers tied Jesus to the cross. They held his arms and his legs so they could drive spikes into his feet and his hands. They dropped the cross into the hole, I'm sure, again, to inflict pain. Crucifixion is a long, agonizing process. You are trying to either push up with your legs or pull your body up with your arms because you are suffocating. In the death of Jesus, more pain was added because of the nails that they used in his feet and hands. After hours of excruciating pain, Jesus cried out, "It is finished." As the end was nearing, soldiers would use a stick to hit the legs of the punished to break the legs so they could not push up anymore. When they came to Jesus, however, he was already dead. So they pierced his side with a spear, blood and water gushing out. Why? Why would Jesus endure the suffering? The answer is one simple word: love. He loves you and I indiscriminately. It was necessary for a sacrifice to be offered to pay for sin. Jesus came to be that sacrifice. This is the perfect demonstration of love by God the Father, sending God the Son to give us the hope of an eternity in heaven with them. All you have to do is accept and believe.